Tesla's autopilot and full self-driving linked to hundreds of crashes, dozens of deaths. Oh my gosh, you guys, the sky once again is falling, even with China already approving enhanced autopilot. What is going on? I've got Randy Kirk here to join me from the blurry zone. That'll come and go. He's in a hotel. It works great. Yes. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. Randy, oh my gosh, this is a little late breaking news because it broke. It's just broke. The Verge is broke. They published this great, fantastic, award eligible story. Tesla's autopilot and full self-driving linked to hundreds of crashes, dozens of deaths. Wait a minute. Autopilot and full self-driving. What are they doing there? What's this tactic?
Well, I had a couple of other ideas about their story, but on that one, you've got me. I'm not sure exactly.
What they're doing is conflating a software system that dates back to like 2016 with the one that's on the road in 2024. They're using the fact that a guy set his cruise control and put on a Harry Potter on DVD and crashed into a semi with the fact that FSD is out and working. NHTSA found that Tesla's self-driving driver assist features are insufficient at keeping drivers engaged in the task of driving, which can often have fatal results. I take issue with the word often. How about you?
I think often is one of those words. I mean, it could mean what is often? Often would 0.001% be often? I mean, I'm not, would 3 be often?
I know people who often buy new cars. That's once every 3 years. So
if it was my family member who was injured, that would be often automatically.
Automatically. Yes. Well, I think my opinion should be regarded most highly because I have this outlier experience. Yeah, a teenager was hit by a Model Y traveling at highway speed. So what they're doing is taking all these ridiculous things and conflating them. And the 13 deaths are not 13 deaths, dozens of deaths. There were, in this article, it says, NHTSA investigated 956 crashes starting in 2018 and extending all the way to last August. Of those crashes, some of which involved other vehicles striking Teslas. Okay.
Yes.
I got T-boned. That's my cars. That's my fault somehow. And 29 people died. There were also 211 crashes in which the frontal plane of the Tesla struck a vehicle or obstacle in its path.
How many?
Quite a few. 211.
211. Okay.
Out of millions of vehicles.
Billions of miles. Yes.
Billions of miles.
And then out of those, you got to start taking those down and say, well, how many of those was the guy smoking dope, drinking heavily, trying to have some kind of intimate relationship with his girlfriend while he's driving? I mean, we don't know any of the details at all.
And we can't because cabin data does not leave the vehicle. NHTSA was prompted to launch their investigation after several incidents of them crashing into emergency vehicles that were parked.
Old news.
Very old news. With the software ignoring scene control measures, including warning lights, flares, cones, etc. You ever had a little thing called cruise control?
I have had, I think since the 60s.
How is that legal? It doesn't stop for obstacles. It doesn't keep you in your lane. Basically, it doesn't
even stop. It doesn't even slow down for the car in front of you in the beginning.
No.
When they first came out, it would just run right into that.
On a motorcycle, we call that a throttle lock.
Right.
And in some cases, it found that autopilot, and in some cases FSD, was not designed to keep the driver engaged in the task of driving. Well, it's good that we're focusing on this and pointing it out. Other companies have ADAS systems that will make your highway drive much easier and your driveway high much easier. And there's going to be misuses. So thankfully, NHTSA is making sure that manufacturers are keeping drivers attentive across the board, Randy. I'm sure it's across the board, right?
I don't know.
I do. It is not across the board.
Not across
the
board.
Rivian disabled their cabin cameras and then removed them. They no longer use cabin cameras for driver monitoring. We know the Blue Cruise system is, I wouldn't say insufficient. It does watch you from two sides, but we know that there have been deaths already on Blue Cruise, despite it not working everywhere, despite it having a fraction of the miles. It is getting a free pass so far. Is it because Tesla is so big? Is it because Tesla is the first mover? Why are they getting such outsized attention?
I suspect that it could be any of those. It could be political. That's a possibility. It could be, in fact, that even some of the people at NHTSA have shown some evidence of uneven handling of these situations. But if I were going to put a most likely case to it, I would say the first one, the big. Not just that the company is big, but rather that they just are racking up substantially, like 10 times, 100 times more miles than any of these other vehicles that are using these systems. And therefore, they're going to have more incidences.
I think that's very charitable of you. I think that is
Thank you.
also
Thank
I think it is also the right take. If Tesla was getting a free pass while Rivian was getting run through the ringer, it would look like unfair bias in favor of the incumbent. It would look like NHTSA was trying to destroy the competition on Tesla's behalf. And I don't think that's a perception they want, nor a reality they want. But it just feels very unfair. Then you discover the Verge of news, and they are
you.
right there on the Verge, and they're saying that there are deaths. Well, did you know that if you were so inclined, you could actually just pull up the actual report itself and see what it says, and you would find that there are no deaths. There are no, on FSD, no deaths. It is
No
not.
deaths.
It is not a thing. But what they did was suggested that there were. They basically concluded this part of the investigation at least, and said there are 13 incidents which deserve additional attention. And those incidents are, they were not able to confirm that the autonomous suite was responsible.
Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
you can certainly imagine situations. Anybody that's driven FSD can imagine situations where because FSD from time to time certainly did, maybe no longer. We'll find out over the next few weeks. But earlier versions of FSD certainly did odd things that if you didn't take over could have resulted in some problems. So at what point is the driver responsible for not being coordinated enough to overtake FSD after it does something weird? As my
absolutely.
brain, I like the fact that my brain is exploding in black all over the screen. This is so interesting.
It's by the way, not a filter. That's how Randy, he paid extra for that hotel so that when he's on the road this week, that is an effect that he would naturally have. Hashtag no filter. The company plans to unveil a robotaxi later this year that's supposed to usher in a new era. Musk doubled down on the notion that his vehicles were safer than human drivers. Well, yes. If you've got
Yes.
at scale a statistically significant amount of data that shows conclusively that the autonomous car has, let's say, half the accident rate of a human driven car, I think that's difficult to ignore unless you're the Verge.
Well, again, it really comes down to that. This is headline making. You and I both know as YouTubers that if we put the name Tesla, the name Elon Musk into the headline, even if the headline would be Tesla has nothing to do with cars anymore, or whatever we put, just put the name word Tesla in there, it's going to get more clicks. Well, The Verge knows this too.
They do indeed. I'd shown this one a while back. Tesla rival fire. So if you just search, all these headlines are about Tesla rivals having
Yes,
fires.
yes, yes.
Why'd you put Tesla? I mean, aren't these really like, isn't GM a Ford rival? Isn't BYD a Li Auto rival? Nope. It's all Tesla rivals. Rivian and Lucid receive harsh prediction. I mean, come on. Come on.
Yep, yep, yep.
These guys, you're lazy. You're lazy and you know
Yep.
it. So there are It either works or it doesn't. And I have also seen the people who will say it, yes, but these autonomous miles that are safer, those are the easiest miles to drive. When it gets real hairy, that's when accidents are going to happen and it disengages. Right. So we've got the safest vehicles are ones in FSD with it operational. Then you've got the vehicles that where it's exists but not enabled. Those are the next safest miles driven. Even though you're not using it, all of the forward collision warnings and all that are still there. And then you've got Teslas, just Teslas at all. And then you've got all other cars, the least safe of all. Well, yes, but that includes old cars. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. We're just talking about the miles driven. So guys, in the comments, what did we miss? What do we misunderstand? Is the Verge actually geniuses and we are the great, great fools? Leave it so we know. Smash thumbs, like, subscribe. You know what you got to do. And maybe check out the Randy Kirk channel. He's trapped in a box. We hope to meet the kidnapper's demands soon. But if we don't, hey, well, you know, he had a good run. So stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from this clever robot when he gets back from, I assume, purgatory.